满觉心，南无梭心，南无南无悉耶梭，南无满觉心，南无梭心，南无南无悉耶梭。觉当主的从哪来？将就把头上的个自己，大概青年级别从哪里？我跟着上月主保说，觉当这个从哪来？将就把头上的个自己，大概青年级别从哪里？我跟着上月主保说，觉当这个从哪来？将就大概个自己，大概青年级别从哪里？我跟着上月主保说，北给主心没多少，把那些你的给马的，上给许多没的东西，平常到现在就把说，不说人当人当那个你呀大呀。那对我今天是觉得头天到个前天嘛，那是个里就没晓得你妈妈是把这个没买去把那当，这么真正的买的那对吧？对着浪到我今天都没把信用啊的，第一个给你这么那个真正是买的对吧？第一就给我批复说把那对吧？点不解决点不到个上，那些你妈老妈那心情都少都是没把钱的，强迫过来。
Please adjust your sitting posture according to the 7 meditative postures of Vairocana. Think, all sentient beings have been my mothers. All sentient beings have been my mothers, not just once, but numberless times. All sentient beings are as kind as my mother in this life. Even though all kind mother sentient beings want happiness and do not want even a small suffering due to mistakenly engaging with objects of adoptions and abandonment, they do not experience any happiness but suffering. In our minds, sincerely generate loving kindness towards all kind mother sentient beings by thinking, how nice it would be if all kind mother sentient beings were to experience, were to have excellent happiness and the causes of happiness that are virtues. May they have excellent happiness and its causes. I will cause them to have excellent happiness and its causes. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so.
ये चीज़ दुआ जिन्हें सिंह जितना था ये दुनिया जी जो मगे वाला था ना चल जब आशी ये चावा दा बेचा वाला था शेनी बोला माला ये सिंह जितना तो सो तो जिन्हें मगे इंजे बोलिस.
Next week, passion towards all suffering mother sentient beings by thinking, how nice it would be if all mother sentient beings were free from all suffering and causes of suffering that are non-virtues. May they be free from all suffering and the causes of suffering. Or freedom from all suffering and the causes of suffering. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so.
ये चीज़ दुआ जिन्हें सिंह जितना था ये हुआ था ये सब दुआ लगे कुछ सब कंगेराना पहुँचे तरी नहीं बस यहाँ तो बेसांजी जी घुमा लगे ये बात है ये तो बनी बस लो यो ना यहाँ का वो बेसांजी ले ये बे सिंह थांजी जिन्हें सांजी घुमा रहा है क्या थोड़ा शाव वो तो ज़िम्मे बच्चे ने चांजू से हुए.
Next we generate bodhicitta. First, we ask ourselves, who should take the responsibility to free all mother sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and lower realms? I take the responsibility to free all mother sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and lower realms. Even though I should take the responsibility, I do not have the ability to place them in the state of perfect complete enlightenment now. Who has such ability? Only those who have achieved the state of perfect complete enlightenment have the ability to do so. Therefore, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, by all means, I will achieve the practice state of enlightenment.
这就是东方的去生东西，老婆人让一句，我记得他的刚才要嘛这个让一句这个东方人，啥我都是你就是生东西。
Next, we meditate on the emptiness of. Next, we meditate on emptiness for a short while. The self and the aggregates do not exist as inherently one. If they were inherently one, they would necessarily be established as partless one. Therefore, the self and the aggregates do not exist as inherently one.
이제 계속 이제 판주된도 상지시 공부하다가 리치도 그 당비 취했으니 년에 책임도 지금 걔도 이제는 별거 두고 이서 어디서 뭐야 보지 줬어.
The self and the aggregates also do not exist as inherently different. If they were inherently different, they would necessarily be established as unrelated in others. Therefore, the self and the aggregates neither exist as inherently one nor inherently different. Set a good motivation. For the sake of all mother sentient beings, I will achieve the state of enlightenment. For this, I will listen to the holy teaching and properly practice in order to benefit sentient beings.
야, 되게 뭐야? 그래서 그게 뭐가 하나 나 시절에 인도와 필리핀과 민주주의 상비 진보성 수준되나 내제도 수준 요가 지비 지비 되는 스케스에서 레레 지도사를 가야 한다 너무 그렇지 이때 오는 거
So previously we talked about the divisions of generosity. So generosity can be divided into three. There are three types of generosity. So the generosity of giving dharma, the generosity of giving material things, and the generosity of giving protection from fear. So, and we also talk about morality, the divisions of morality, the morality of restraining, the morality of gathering virtuous quality or virtues, and the morality of enacting the welfare of sentient beings. So we have already gone through the first two perfections. So today we are going to talk about the divisions of patience. So the nature of patience is an undisturbed mind, or a mind that is undisturbed. So, and when patience is divided, it can be divided into three. So the patience of disregarding harm done to oneself or harm done by others, patience of disregarding harm done by others, and patience of accepting the arising of suffering in one's continuum, and the patience of ascertaining dharma.
이게 중요한 것이고. 다 간다 도도 되게 라나 이제 간다. 내가 간디셔버리나 되는 봐. 내가 먼저 내가 공부 먼저 세트 봐시. 이디시.
Nile Midirba.
내가 간디시 제바이나 하나 이 신지. 내가 간디 치주 간디시 제바이나 콜파 내가 내다 공부 먼저 봐. 세니. 이디 되다. 와. 공부 먼저 세니 봐도 내가 중요한 것이 봐시.
So the first type of patience is patience of disregarding harm done by others. Then you generate this patience of not retaliating the harm done by others, and the patience of, and it also talks, and not only that you do not retaliate harm done by others, and you do not generate anger towards the harmers as well. So this patience of disregarding harm done by others means that is a patience of not retaliating and not getting angry at the harmers.
그들이 다 간다 디디시 나가서 내지를 주문하고 세바서 디디시에 데려와. 다들 제가 예를 주고는 또 디디시에 데려와. 다 디지랑도 등에 당내 주세 봐서 데려와. 다 등에 당내 주세 봐서 다 다가로냐. 등에 당내 주세 데려와. 다 간다 등에 당내 주세 봐서 다 간다. 신지로와 취지체다. 사람을 별로좀 로그 두번년에 간디지 제고에나 이 제도 간다 리세나 문제비 간다 눈에 강이 같이 중반이나 에 당돌림 당와서 대상 공수와 대상 공수나 예상 공수 답을로야 예상 공수 대상 공수 간디지 그 취지체도 두번년에 간디지 제바이나 때라페 이다세나 눈에다 강에 같이 중반이나 당돌림
So this is a brief explanations on the first types of patience. And the second type of patience is patience of accepting suffering, or patience of accepting suffering, the arisings of suffering in one's continuum, or the suffering arising in one's continuum. So when you, this second type of patience means that for the sake of Dharma, so whether it's learning Dharma or whether it's practicing Dharma, so we always then you patiently accept any suffering or hardships that happens to the physical and mental hardships and suffering. You patiently accepting physical and mental suffering or hardships in any in any Dharma practice. So whether you are engaging in listening or contemplating or meditating on Dharma, so any suffering or hardships that arise, whether it's a physical one or a mental one, you patiently accept them. So the second type is patience of accepting suffering, or patience of enduring suffering. So the second type, the third type is patience of sustaining Dharma, patience of conviction in ascertaining Dharma. To this, the third type is for the sake of Dharma. So whether it's Dharma learning or Dharma practice and so forth. So for the sake of Dharma, then without discouragement, then you you have this statement or convictions that I'm going to accomplish even those even those hardships or even those great effort that cannot be done, that others cannot accomplish it, I will accomplish it. So the third type of patience is patience of conviction in ascertaining Dharma or patience of ascertaining Dharma. So this type is for the sake of Dharma, Dharma practice and so forth. Then without any discouragement, I will accomplish those great hardships that others are unable to do so. Then I will accomplish them. So this is the patience of ascertaining Dharma.
그것도 이제 지바 라리노 이거로 그때 가서 지바 다 디세메 바치 시라는 가서 딘디모 다 트라이 마신의 샤지미로 그들인데 이 디지라다 간다 가서 세바소도 도서로 지레는 세바소도 도서로 바티오라 가서 진지로 다 진지도 겨와라 또 있으면 다라 지바치 진지 뭐든 겨와라 또 있으면 진지 뭐 내가 지바치 그들라 간다 다 심지대 고치전다 요아 치리전 So
this is the brief explanations on patience. So if you would like to know more about the natures of it, the divisions of it, then you can refer to Lamrim text. So today is just a brief explanation on deeds perfection. So next is joyous effort. So joyous effort, the nature of joyous effort is the mind enthusiastic for virtue. Joyous effort is the first one, armor-like joyous effort. The second one is joyous effort of gathering virtuous qualities. The second one is joyous effort of gathering virtuous qualities. And the third one is joyous effort of enacting the welfare of sentient beings. Joyous effort of enacting the welfare of sentient beings.
다 고치 전에 써야 돼. 신지 공부와 이거 정보를 지면서 고쳐서 배샤오디 고쳐서 가서 나지비 마나고 전에 설명도 해. 어때시? 이거 정보 배이 공부와 이거 정보서 나는 동나서 봐 소는 거 봐도야시. 아. 이게 이거 정보 들려 배샤도 쉬우다. 고치 전에 써야 돼.
So this armor-like joyous effort, then using the metaphor of armor. So when in general, when we talk about armor, so you wear armor, you don armor, especially when you go to a war. Then when you have this armor, when you don this armor, then others harms that they're trying to harm you or pierce you with weapons and so forth, then it cannot pierce through. So it shows something is very solid.
다들 도동아 뭐 보대고 준비를 하기로 와. 고치 전에서 하는 거서 전주 종대 간디고 전주 종만아 신지 지급해 동아세에 치도 신지 지급 동아세에 치도 그냥와는 앞에 로동차 뭐고 대바이나 예 산지지 공파 도그리 신지 지급 동아세에 치도 그냥와는 로동차 뭐고 대바이나 네바이나 산지지 공파 도그리 해서 근데 이 산지 근데 신라 최고의 내가 더 도와지니 어떤 신지직이 동안 써야지 냐오는 노동창 뭐고 있잖아 아 대구이 이산에 대비배 돈이 더 지고시 연락감도 도와지지 어떤 도와지는 거지 이라간다 고치 전주세 되고
So armor-like joyous effort is a joyous effort that for the sake of even one sentient beings, even if I have to stay in hell for 1,000 years, for the sake of, in order to achieve the state of enlightenment, then I will gladly do so. So it shows a very powerful mind, or the strength of mind that is so powerful that for the sake of even one sentient beings, in order to achieve the state of enlightenment, even if I have to stay in hell for 1,000 years, then I will happily do so.
다 교화 취지 세리와 교화 취지 세리데 다 예수 80도 로 80도 누가 셔셔 다 간다 기시오 기시와 가르기는 좀 좋아 기시와라 좀 기 취지 세리서 예수 8도 심바도 된 누가 시도 에 야부 용 로정 야부 용한 치다 때 기시와라 좀 기시와라 좀 돼. 좀 sab도 지금 와시들와
The second one is patience of carrying virtuous qualities. So it is a type of joyous effort. Sorry, joyous effort of gathering.
Come on.
Yeah. So the joyous effort of gathering virtuous qualities. So in order to practice 6 perfections, such as generosity, you happily undertake the joy. You happily undertake or engage in virtuous activities. So for the sake of practicing the 6 perfections, such as generosity, you happily undertake the activities, the virtuous activities. Then that is a patience of gathering virtuous qualities.
교화 취지적 전주서와데 그래서 공도 대지에 아주 주진들라 와 교화 취지적 주진서와들랑 아주 다시 두 상황이 되네 다 교화 취지적 주진들 도단 같이 시설와 이게 교화 취지적 주진이와 주진들와 주진 대나시에 스타트 대나시 교화 취지적 전주의 지단 아주 다시 두 상황이 되네
기회 주진이
주진 강의 주진들 시설라 가지고 가래 주진들 때 교화 취지적 주진이와 신제 대제 주지고 공고까지 쓰는 지시는 봐. 다시 좀 참고해. 이거 지리지 드리다 다시
기회 주도 주진을 야나데 주진이 주진을
이거 지리지.
기회 주진
이거 지리지 드리다 다시 참고까지 쉬는 봐. 다시 또 이거 지리지 드리는 양산을 대치서 다시 두가다 되는 거지. 양산을 보다 지시는 봐. 이거 지리지 전주서와다 자체는 다 해서 그래. 어디가 이렇게 좀 해서 그때 말에는 담아 쉬면 그거 지로.
So when we talk about morality of gathering virtuous qualities, then we talk about we talk about the practice of morality that is endowed with 6 perfections, right? So similarly, in this context, when we talk about joyous efforts of gathering virtuous quality, then you also have to practice this joyous effort that is endowed with the 6 perfections.
신지 대주지 전주로 신지 대주지 전주에 답에 아마 기다 지발에서 먼저 저기 신지 대주지 저기나 지금 지발에서 먼저 신지 대주지 저기로 신지 대주지 저기 나시 다 대나시 간다 지발에서 와 지금 말 신지 대주지 저기 지시 봐또 대나시 신지 대주지 신지 대주지 간다 스피 대샤와 지지스 지와 대나시나 신지 대샤와 지지 들어서 지거래 와 그래서 교화 취지적 주진 나시 그래서
주지요로
진짜 대주지 주진 나시
So similarly,
간다 주지도 못해 봐라 진짜 대주지 주진나 주지도 못해 봐라 주진 수는 주바다 와
주진다 대마로
저 주지도 못해 봐라 주진 수는 주바 한번 해봐라 또 무슨 주바 와 간다 기셔와 루미셔 봐라 기셔와 루 주바 와 어디 대나시 다 선지도 대화를 신제 대주시 선지서 와 선지도 대화를 해서 와
주팀장 미点발라 아니点또 만나야 돼 그래서
그거 주바 동바도 매발라 동바스도 주바 다 기샤올람 무슨 비제바들 비제발라 기샤올람 무슨 제도 주바 와 어디 소리다 간다 수진시 신제 대주시 수진시 와 동바 매발 동바스도 주바 간다 수진 매발 수진수도 주바 그래서 다 대나시 신제 대주시 선지스나 담비 쳐도 봐라 전주 마셔 봤더라 전주 셔도 주바 이 쳐도 봐라 전주 셔도 주바 전주 장도 주바 어디 소리에서 간다 이 주바 간다.
And when we talk about morality of enacting the welfare of sentient beings, then we explain that morality of enacting the welfare of sentient beings is like for example, others do not possess morality, then you cause them to guard the morality. And those who do not know how to guard morality, then you teach them, you teach them or you teach them or advise them how to guard morality and so forth. So similarly, in this context, when we talk about a joyous effort of enacting the welfare of others, enacting then you cause them to put effort in guarding morality and so forth. So it's similar to the morality of enacting the welfare of sentient beings. Next is concentration. The nature of concentration is a mind that single-pointedly abides or focuses on the virtuous object. So that is the nature that we always talk about in our meditation. And when concentration is divided by way of nature or by way of entity, then it can be divided into two. Then the first one is mundane, and the second one is supramundane. So when concentration is divided by way of entities, then it can be divided into these two, mundane and supramundane. So when it is divided by way of functions, then it can be divided into three. The first one is the concentration that causes the body and mind to abide in happiness in this life. I repeat, the first divisions of concentration is the concentration that causes the body and mind to abide in happiness in this life. And the second one is concentration that manifestly accomplishes qualities. Concentration that manifestly accomplishes qualities. And the third one is concentration that enacts the welfare of sentient beings. Concentration that enacts the welfare of sentient beings. So if when it's divided by way of functions, then it can be divided into these three. So there's no need to explain much on the two types of concentration. So when it's divided by way of entities, the mundane and supramundane concentration. So again, if you would like to know more, then you can refer to Lamrim text. So I would like to explain on the functions. So the concentration that is divided by way of functions. The first one is a concentration that causes the body and mind to abide in happiness in this life. So this is the function of a concentration. So if we have this concentration when the mind is single-pointedly set in equipoise, then it acts to generate the physical and mental pliancy. So when we have this concentration, when the mind is single-pointedly set in equipoise, then it acts to generate physical and mental pliancy. So when we have this, when physical and mental pliancy generates in one's mind, then it brings a great happiness or great bliss to one's mind and to one body.
다들 이제 가서 들어와. 윤정이 거 두고 와서 상대들. 그 상대 되게 싫으냐? 상대 아버지. 이거 봐야 다 윤정이 거 두고 그래서 이거도 여러서 윤정이 거 두서 와서 내시 줄라 제도야. 아, 문신 논주. 상대 갖고 막 문신 논주라서.
문신 용조.
문신 논주. 상대 문신다. 손님이시라서 그 두야. 문신이 두야. 내가 간다. 그래서 정말 간다. 문신이다. 이봐. 그래서 두야겠다. 이무디 그래서 보러 인생을 버두야 인생을 버두는 이거지 니시가 나다 세바스 그래서 니시다 상대 지명이 지명이 나서 같아서 두야게 이거 요레스.
The second one is concentration that manifestly accomplishes qualities. So this is the function of these types of functions of concentration. So it has the ability to accomplish avoidances. It has the ability to accomplish meditative absorption. It has the ability to accomplish the actual concentration, such as the concentrations of first dhyana and so forth.
第一阶段就这个多，他甚至电视剧上的很多，那甚至电视上的知道哪里搞的嘛，上的一点小具体下一点的，这就是我怎么个的话，这哪里搞的多少？个电甚至那个记录下来呢，那甚至电视剧上的是呢，有上的的，你也上的那个吧，哪里边的上的定义这个念的话，你也上的那样个吧，对吧？那是给电视剧也是，啊都是那里的吧。
The third type of concentration is concentration enacting the welfare of sentient beings. So in the Lamrim text, then you can see that there are 11 welfares of sentient beings. So I will not go through all of them. If you would like to know, then you can refer to Lamrim text. So in brief, the concentration of enacting the welfare of sentient beings is oneself abiding in concentration or abiding in meditative civilization, and causes others to abide in concentration. So while oneself is abiding in concentration, to cause others to abide in concentration is a way of enacting the welfare of sentient beings.
他第一阶段嘛，他第一个，他写了不多啊，他写了的看到，他写了就我是哪去学这把去，学了那么点就是把的写了就我的啊一个去，那等了嘛也有的送图啊，他刚才短道都被写了，空道都被写了，甚至一点小话都被写了本身，也送这么多的写了。
And next is wisdom. So the nature of wisdom is, as we always say that we always say that the nature of wisdom is a knower that thoroughly distinguishes phenomena, right? So that is the nature of wisdom. So when wisdom is divided, it can be divided into three types: the wisdom realizing the modes, wisdom realizing the modes, and wisdom. The second one is wisdom realizing the varieties. And the third one is wisdom realizing the activity for the welfare of sentient beings. The third one is wisdom realizing the activity for the welfare of sentient beings.
他当不等到都没写了是对了啊，他等到都没写了的样子，等到的密的不多啊，他当面的怎么你不是下回呢？年纪自己过来都没写了几档，我说的都没写了比你来不多啊。等到都没写了，等到都没写了对了，当不得了，咱们是点可能你，我把你年纪过来多把几档，多把几档，那刚才我说的，我的举例过来，哦，你。电视剧呢，两个人送了，电视剧呢多几档，那我的举例过来，到那个你的这个也是吧，他当面头下来，等他都写了，那是哪的，他东把你这个新闻是吧？等他都写了是吧？
So regarding the first type, wisdom realizing the modes. So wisdom realizing the modes. Modes refers to emptiness, refers to selflessness, refers to suchness. So wisdom realizing the modes. So the modes refers to the meanings of it is emptiness. So this wisdom realizing the modes, it can be further divided into two types. Wisdom that realizes by way of meaning generality, and the second one is wisdom that realizes the most directly.
다 뒤지라고 군도도 싫어서 일레군도 다 군도도 싫어서 단단해서 리피네가 같이 싫어도 리피네가 같이 싫어지 뒤지라고 군도도 싫어 와서와 그래서 아주 싫다라 와
And the second one is wisdom realizing the varieties. So wisdom realizing the varieties is a type of wisdom that is skilled in the 5 types of knowledges or 5 knowledges. So a wisdom that is skilled in 5 knowledges.
다 간다 신지 대상도 미셔로 들어가다 다 신지 대상도 미셔로서 와라 다 되게 된다데 다 신지비 체인데다 심하게 돼 하나 마도 해봐 무슨 레바 해봐 와 다 신지 체인데다 체인데게 리진 중앙이나라 체 심하게 간다 리진 중앙 리수게 리소로 다 간다 하나 마도 매봐 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 사야 매봐 근데 리진 중앙에 아니 누구나 내 시바 더 많은 와시 와 리진 중앙에 더 많은 와시 어디 혀 신지 대상도 필요 연다 도도시나 신지 동에다 들어와 다 가른도 리지 피수서가 데미 다 가른도 신지들라 다도 그냥 가른 누야라 다 가를 때 모두 그래서 레버 시험하지 아 많은 와시 시험하지 그 신지 대상도 필요
The second one is the wisdom realizing the varieties. So meaning of it is a type of wisdom that is skilled in 5 knowledges or 5 topics of knowledge. So then the third one is wisdom realizing the activity for the welfare of sentient beings. So this type of wisdom is for this knowing well. Yeah. So for the sake of sentient beings in this life and in these and future lives, for the sake of sentient beings in these and future lives, excellently know the method without any misdeeds. Excellently know the methods without any misdeeds. Excellently knowing the methods. Excellently knowing the methods. Excellently knowing the methods without any misdeeds to accomplish. So the third one is wisdom realizing the activity for the welfare of sentient beings, right? So it is excellently knowing the methods that is unmistaken and without any misdeeds. Because excellently knowing without any misdeeds, excellently knowing the method without any misdeeds. Yeah. That's good to hear. So this wisdom of realizing the activity for the welfare of others is an excellent knowing of methods without any misdeeds for the sake of for the welfare of sentient beings in this life and in future lives. And it is an excellent knowing of method without any misdeed for the welfare of sentient beings in this life and future lives. Yeah. So excellently knowing of method that is unmistaken without any misdeeds or without any misdeeds for the welfare of sentient beings in this and future lives. So meaning is oneself knows that one knows excellently the method to free sentient beings from suffering. One knows excellently the method to cause the happiness to arise in sentient beings, and you excellently know the methods, or you know the unmistaken method to accomplish the ultimate welfare of sentient beings, or ultimate purpose of sentient beings. So that is wisdom realizing the activity for the welfare of sentient beings.
我什么落这么一刚才觉得可是多就刚才我们你这边是强调生活的，那你就是跑去主义觉得，这是都学说的话，你就说跑去主义觉得，他刚才我也话什么多的话，他觉得可能你就全部是不强求性的话，你就全部是不强求生活就是，那就是跑去主义觉，就这个觉，但我是落差，但也话是落差的话，他这个是到明天说，明天的，在明天了解的人话，你了解的。那么去你的用到习惯明天是吧？那明天可能你那习惯上的你个，这个时候的你就到的你这个嘛要新的回去了，我说吧，你这个大是吧？你怎么去的是吧？
Yeah. So, wisdom realizing the activity for the welfare of sentient beings is an excellent knowing of unmistaken methods without any misdeeds for the welfare of sentient beings in these and future lives. In brief, is an excellent knowing excellently the method to free all sentient beings from suffering, to cause the happiness arise in sentient beings, and the method to accomplish the ultimate purpose of sentient beings. So we have talked about the nature of these six perfections, their divisions, and also the cause for the six perfections as well. That is bodhicitta. So next, we are going to talk about the meaning of the term. The meaning of the term. So, like for example, is called generosity. What is the etymological explanations for calling it generosity or jimba in Tibetan?
这是明白的话，我个人就觉得咱那这个情况里有那么的事，那新巴是可都把到这个新巴是话的，升级我对，我是比新巴是，都这些是吧？升级我对，那升级我多，我是比那新巴是，啊对是吧？那这种是吧？那希腊自己过过的话，这种是话的，完了年末程度是话是，这种是吧？年末程度是话是这种是。 그것도 잘되는 거 아무튼 그거
다시로 왔다 되는 다시로
다시 일단 민서 같은 것도 벌써 시골 갔다 짐바서 달라
So the etymology of a term generosity in English is generosity, in Tibetan is jimba, in Sanskrit is dana. So calling it jimba in Tibetan because it acts to overcome poverty. It is called jimba in Tibetan because it acts to overcome poverty. So this is the etymology for the word jimba, or in Tibetan, or generosity in English, or dana in Sanskrit. And the etymology for morality. So morality in English, morality in Tibetan is chuchim, in Sanskrit is shila. So it is called shila, or it is called morality because it acts to soothe the heat, soothe the torment of the heat of afflictions. Because it acts to soothe the torment of the heat of afflictions. Because it acts to soothe the torment of the heat of afflictions, therefore it is called shila, or morality.
那当然是对我了嘛，学吧学是吧？他学吧学的，他碰触啊，学比是可能过了学都比那学吧了，是吧？对，现在个对，你把就的出啊，然后他出啊嘛是吧？出啊的了学都比那个学吧是，都是这样的嘛，对吧？是吧？
So, and it's called patience. It's called patience because it's able. How to say? One is able to be patient with anger. One is able to be patient with anger, meaning that one without getting angry, and then one is patient with harms done to oneself.
我是针对说的，有啊错了就针对是来的，对吧？错了就针对是，但比喻小啊错了，把我的对的这些，针对说，比喻小啊错了，是吧？有啊错了就对，针对是。
比喻小啊错了就会出去嘛？
针对。
那就会尊重讲嘛？Yeah, and is called joyous effort because it applies. Yeah, it applies. Because it applies. Yeah, it's called joyous effort because it applies oneself in the supreme virtuous activities. It is called virtuous quality because it applies oneself in the supreme virtuous activities. So because of this, and it's called joyous effort.
That's santi seore inzi bi santi lo inzi bi se chi ba lo inzi bi santi. Share seore yan tamba shibi na share. Da chu ji miru ta tamba shibi na se share de lo bora. So share seore yan tamba shibi na se chu miru de yan tamba lo ni chi shibi na. Share se de lo se bo.
And it's called concentration because it holds one's mind. It's called concentration because it holds one's mind. And it's called wisdom because it knows the ultimate. Because it knows the ultimate, because it understands the ultimate, means that it understands or it knows or it recognizes the modes of abiding of phenomena.
Nothing does about it all. Don't mean that man does our. I'm about to the Kanawa. And give us a passion to be able to. But that is some of the watching of the GB for the king gets the king ball came out and you are that's a bit something to do. We were then on yes, for what Jimbaton did the Banda. Since I did that teaching you.
So because is called wisdom because it knows the ultimate, or meaning that it knows the modes of abiding of phenomena, or it knows the reality or the truth. Then next one is result. So the results of deep text perfections, for example, generosity, one will experience the result of having abundant resources, and through morality, one will experience happiness.
Just to get us be measured, that's what I'm doing the change. I say so good and don't even know. The change is all in my data. I think to my dreams. I want the patient to get the disability. Yeah, not cutting away. So,
So this is a brief explanations on the 6 perfections. So now we will go to the root text, chapter 5, guarding introspection. The first outline is a brief indication of the purpose of guarding the mind. Brief indication of the purpose of guarding the mind.
that is all there is a another someone never in that the dream is something said. So imagine not a small young yes.
So under this outline is first verse, chapter 5, first verse. Those who wish to guard their trainings should very tightly guard their minds. Those who do not guard their minds are unable to guard their trainings.
That thing I don't know. Say so about it, the issue or say so about the music as another bed. That Liu Suba the change say on Sunsawa. That Liu Suba the bed. Liu Tambon Niba Suba, the Rimba in Mashisawa. But you that I want to see Masna, Alaba, Manyama, Chigedwa, Lava Manyama was say so. Liu Tambon Niba Suba Dosarwa. I shall just name Machiba Chish, Dosarwa. Chits are in other Manyama Chigasuna. 다 장주시 세송하라 아가르고스나 이시고 다 진소 파시 나바기 뭐냐 소원 대발라 와 진소 파르시고 저 나발라 다 뭐냐 소원 대발라 세 디네 아그 세 리퍼 디네 고라 세 리퍼 디네 세 시지로라 파 너한테 요한테 봐 예가고레스와 세 시지로라 요 배샤와 많이 봐 샤왕 엠바쇼라 판데 딩에 봐라 가고레스 이说了小年吧，说了，我觉得嘛，也是这的话，小年吧，万一参加了东亚这样的小有的话，我弟说了，万一参加了东亚这样，弟说了，反正嘛就不搞也是，就是你送我下的，你是的因为，你个把小年吧是东亚这样，你说了把印了的，你把因为的把搞把印呢，不让给老板说多嘛，没事，是吧？是因为新的老板把是印了的，小年吧说了把印了的，都马去吧，那时候 因为送的是送是吧？刚很多解药嘛的时候的话，也送出来，很多解药嘛，也搞过的是，也要不就怕，因为的怕，也不就搞嘛，对吧？那那个老板的就是老板的，他送这个嘛的吧，是，那讲究生意老板的话，那就是说把这个老板就是送这个嘛的也是了，这送有嘛的时候。
屌同冇算咧，就講住識咪嘅把嘅咯，你等下等下你會啱把啲，
这个的话，
你聽，正所發現做嘅啦吧，慢飲吧，你送我咯，
是，好像不是，
嗯，
好像是是吧？
那就，yeah. So under this outline, that brief indications of the purpose of guarding the mind. So it indicates the reason to guard one's mind. So in previous chapter, we already talked about to generate bodhicitta that has not yet generated. In this chapter, then we are going to talk about to guard one's training in the six perfections, such as generosity without degeneration. To guard the training in six perfections, such as generosity without degeneration. So meaning that those who wish to guard their trainings should very tightly guard their minds. So those who wish to guard their trainings in the six perfections, or in the trainings of bodhicitta, or in the trainings of bodhicitta, then should very tightly guard their minds. So should very tightly guard their minds means that one should never allow their mind to distract to non-virtuous activities, to let their minds to go towards the direction, goes towards the negative activities or negative actions, or go towards the classes of actions that will give rise to suffering. So should very tightly guard their minds means that do not allow their mind or to distract or go towards these negative actions, the classes of actions that will give rise to sufferings and so forth. And those who do not guard their minds, so if our these distractions or stop ourselves from going towards these negative actions, then we will not be able to guard the trainings of bodhicitta, such as the training of morality and so forth.
要不可都不晓得那是谁送晓得，不晓得呢，被晓得那说，那我是一比两的结果的，看到他们是谁送晓得，谁你往那多少钱，谁那多少钱吧，一比两的就谁那我多少钱，是这两的晓得，没给交了说的给我多少钱，是吧？没给交了说的那我那么其他那个问题就谁送晓得，谁的那样我的多嘛，谁送我的现在。那个都就跟人家说，人比娘的结婚那关系就个，那把老娘就过来生活的话，那人比娘的结婚的，人比娘的个问题说，3年往多少钱？所以娘的呀，我自己老爸说要不结婚的，当然个生的没给交了说话得往多少钱，是吧？我当时都要不，那个生算，感觉生了说不得，你算下了，整体中国生产，当然往多少钱？我电脑些，他刚才生送说的。电脑些，我也嘛是，那样的当然嘛的是，然后问题就得，那个搞的这个呢，对问题学往的当然嘛，也是咯，他不能是送来，对问题学往的多次呢，他是强就是甚至老板的，就是关于这个老板的强就甚至同胞了什么，是搞的呢，是送出来的，一个朋友还是吧，是往的多少？
So to guard our minds, should very tightly guard our minds also means that we do not allow our mind to distract towards those negative actions, or do not allow our mind to go towards those negative actions, or the class class of actions that will give rise to suffering, right? So for example, when we practice generosity, then we have to guard our mind. So how do we guard our mind when practicing generosity? Is we have to guard our mind from the discordant class of generosity. So do not let our mind fall under the control of the discordant class of generosity. So the discordant class of generosity is miserliness. So when we practice generosity, then we do not allow our mind to fall under the control of miserliness. So when we practice morality, then we also have to guard our mind. So guard our mind in this the practice of morality means that we have to guard our minds from falling under the discordant class of morality. So the discordant class of the training in morality is transgressions or engaging in those non-virtuous actions, right? So then we guard our minds from falling under the control of non-virtues and so forth, the 10 non-virtues and so forth. So if we do not guard our mind from such distractions in other words, if we do not guard our minds from falling under this discordant class of the trainings, then we will not be able to guard the trainings of bodhicitta, and we will not be able to guard the trainings of six perfections such as generosity.
老讲究是性格，我说老讲究性格，老把的我是对继续的，必须往的忙着点大概是，让几个希望的对吧？这个都问题是做下来，对吧？讲究性格娘的教的，让几个希望的对吧？切到特别别这情况情况呢，这个是讲究性格，老把给他们养个岁数呀，对吧？他讲究性格，老把了忙养吧，或者岁数是吧？ 这送给的，他讲究是娘的教的，他让几步希望的地方去到，哎，这等到都要去看，对吧？呢，这个是问题学了，往多是多，讲究是，所以问题学往多是，这讲究是我就老板朋友。
So when we practice the trainings of bodhicitta, then we have to guard our minds from its discordant class. So the discordant class of the trainings of bodhicitta is for the sake of one's own happiness, for the sake of one's own happiness, whatever joyous effort that you undertake, or engage in any types of activities for the sake of one's own happiness, then one has already fall under the control. One has already fall under the control of the discordant class of bodhicitta. So one has already influenced by the discordant class of bodhicitta. Thus, it's very difficult for oneself to guard one's mind in relation to the training of bodhicitta.
我再提了嘛，这个，这个说就是先送嘛推荐的，但是送过来呢，把送过来，是马上是200呢，你不记得了，啥都你不记得是吧？
你把这样
我记过来
啊，
是送过来，还是这个那么慢点嘛，要不就送过来是，马上买呢，200呢，那把记得的嘛，那个是吧？这200你不，现在浪费人当，那个浪费嘛，都200，你那点的也没学习。
Next outline is the faults of degenerating the mind. Fault of degenerating the mind. So previous outline is brief indication of the purpose of guarding the mind, right? So it talks about one should guard one's training of six perfections without degeneration, right? So if we do not guard the trainings of six perfections without degenerations, then the fault of degenerating the mind will be, so under this outline is verse 2. Verse number 2, it says, in this world, unsubdued and crazed elephants do not cause such harms as the harms of relentless torment caused by the unleashed elephant of my mind.
我点了不是吧？咱生的浪不起的话，看别人那就是生的浪不起是，咱往这对下的生的浪不起的，这生的对吧？你个情况你不能是，大不也慢慢教育呢，说那个要不起来呢，修情不修要不起，要度假起来呢，你不情不修要不起是吧？在等你家的是吧？我说浪起是我的啥？那修情不修的话，你不情不对难是吧？那生的浪不的干到有，是就是说上你们是吧？ 别忘了当是吧？这是你忘的马当啊，那你去， 人些家具，那这人些的家具的背上我话，人些他把的家具拿去的话，人些他把的那他甚至让不起的，
真是一大把了，
我真是大过来什么是甚至让的，我真是
一大，
我真是，真是这个那他真是家具拿去，那是话，你拿去那他希望都忙着啊，这都兴趣了都，我把眼包马上啊，家具挺住的也是我，大过也是我，他人些生活也是我。有的知道现在的话，整个西西。
Yeah, so here you're using the elephants of my mind, right? So in general, when we talk about elephant is very strong, and in this context, this elephant of our mind is unsubdued and crazy. So crazy. So and it's so powerful that uh, if these elephants of my mind, this powerful elephant of my mind, if you engage it in good activities, then it's very powerful. It makes it very powerful. And similarly, if you engage this powerful elephant of my mind in doing bad things, then it also become very powerful as well. So this powerful elephant of our mind, then this unleash elephant of our mind. So if it's unleashed means that it is unleashed to or is fall under the control of afflictions such as attachment and so forth, then this unleashed elephant of our mind then uh, should be held by, should be tied or should be bound by the ropes of mindfulness and should be guarded by the iron hook of introspection. So this unleashed powerful of my mind should be guarded. Should be guarded or brought under control. Should be brought under control by the ropes of mindfulness and the guard of iron hook of vigilance.
我的身体让不起那个的，我那个是真心这个话，真心是要这个干的啊，我心里了往头忙着啊，大过来也是吧，你了往头忙着大过来，那我心里了个往头啊，你说当小人呢，那可搞得这个也是呢，啊，搞得这个也是呢，我的年纪大，说吧，永远大说吧，那样的，这两个结果也是我，永远也吧，是吧？永远难做那样。年纪那做吧，上了我的时候，年纪那做那上了我的时候啊，你要那做吧，我等你上了我的时候，可家去电器家去的嘛，到位呢，或可能电器当小人呢，或者看电器当白人呢，可我如果是呢，你要啥呀？年纪那是懂啊，就没去把用个呀，年纪那做吧少，给了我的时候。
So if we do not guard these elephants of our mind with the iron hook of mindfulness and introspection, and we let it go wherever it wants, like go wherever it wants means that if we let our mind go towards those erroneous objects, then it will accumulate. It will accumulate various sufferings. It will accumulate various sufferings, and it will accumulate various misdeeds. They will bring forth suffering.
年纪那做吧，那等于那做吧，你话搞这，或者那个第一进去，鸟没那么接起来的，那个的这个也是，等于弄这个，这不的这个也是这个，是吧？我身体浪费的家这个也不嘛，大白呢，他过年纪那做了学啥的话，他年纪那做了学的考啊，有些是呢，这也鸟他妈接个，鸟他妈等于弄这个，等于嘛有些没是个。
So you will accumulate various misdeeds. They will bring forth the sufferings in health and so forth.
我到底是啥？还讲到他妈比身体浪费，马头啊捏吧，也那些的话，也在这，但就点的呢，点这个捏吧没些比，捏吧没些比，切到马远切到，这谁说了对不起我？他心里捏吧头啊，捏吧头啊，哦，这点的，让去捏吧的看到，这马头为呢，让去捏吧的马头为呢，这马头为呢，他不让去切我了啊，我到点那些，点的捏吧马远啊，切到这谁说我的也是。是吧？也把混年轻人们没学习的生涯不送也是了，这说了别把结果也是。
So we should tame these elephants of our mind, and if this elephant of our mind is not tame or not subdued, then it will bring forth harms and sufferings and so forth, right? So in order to prevent the suffering or harms from happening, then we should put effort in guarding one's mind.
다시 쳐봐지. 다시 오늘 가시나 하면서 세송 구바지. 세 마스만 양바이는 예바 진짜 사실. 이제를 갈려면 다시 손을 비워요. 다시 손을 비워 들어와. 다시 손을 비워 또 어디들아. 근데 이는 지금 가봐야 생기 람보 한다는 집어 탄지 매저히 여와 탄지 나도 없어. 어디 시로가 진도와 이거 디디 제가
So we have talk about the first two outlines, which is the purpose of guarding the mind and the fault of not guarding the mind. In other words, the fault of degenerating the mind. And next, we are going to talk about another outline, which is benefits of guarding the mind. So under this outline is verse number 3. It says, "But if the elephant of my mind is tightly bound through all by the rope of mindfulness, all fears will cease to exist, and all virtues will come into my hand."
그러니까 무슨 빙을 뒤 타봐서도 아까다 아니 때 넘버 꾼도 더 란도 진이 뭐지 와 란도 진이 뭐지 봐 싸와 딩비 타봐기 그러와 딩비 타봐기 에 따버리시고 와
그래서 랑도 긴니 맞지 봐.
란도 진이 뭐지 봐 싸우 야니야도 딩비 딩비 타봐기 와 딩비 타봐기 나다 아니 숨고리시고 와 세 와 무엇이 이 넘버 꾼에 가다 란도 진이 지로와 란도 진이 뭐지 봐 뭐지바 싸 TV 타바에 간다 송그레스 TV 타바에 와 TV 타바 더 신지 람보지 와 TV 타바에서 신지 람보지 치 와 주미 이지지 집이 너무 노시던데 와 신지 람보지 주미 이지지 집이 한 영무디 나 노시 대왕도 만들어 와
수미 이제기.
주미 이지지 남포 농도라서 봐 대왕도 만들어지 대왕도 만들어 어디 예다와이나 와 신지 세계미 발다 따야 세계미 발다 따고와 지금 타바 란도지 니라 간다 무지바 싸와 지금 타바기 간다 세데 이 발라스다 와 게임이 발다 따바이나 다 피어 가요 그래서 다 들어와 이 피어 가지나 내 센데다 다 피어지 마시고 다
고숨기 얘네 고숨 얘네 두근 돌랑도 긴니 이름이 제바 얘네 세와 양양 템베 따바 탑 템베 타바 네 타바 데 네 송거레스
지금 타바되기 지금 이제 넘고 대왕도 만들어지 지금 이제 넘고 만들어지 와 대왕도 만들어지 따버리 가 그래서 게임이 많다고 했어 란도 니 맞지 벌써 와 게임이 벌써 따버리 했어
So this verse talks about our three doors. So we should all the time guard our yeah. So we should tie our mind, or we should tie our mind with the ropes of mindfulness that doesn't forget the objects of adoptions and abandonment at all times in our three doors or through our three doors. So we should tie or bind our mind with the rope of mindfulness that doesn't forget the objects of adoptions and abandonment at all times through all three doors. Through all three doors or in all three doors. So you should tie our mind. One's mind should be tied or bound, means that it should be bound from falling under the control of improper conceptual thoughts. So we should tie our mind from what? So from falling under the control of improper discursive thoughts or improper conceptual thoughts. And then we should bind our mind. We should bind our mind to what? So we should bind our mind to virtuous objects of observation. So we should bind our mind to virtuous objects of observation with the rope of mindfulness that doesn't forget the objects of abandonment and adoptions at all times throughout our three doors. So, and then we tie our mind from where? It times our mind from falling under the control of improper conceptual thoughts. From these improper conceptual thoughts.
다 대비 다바이베 신지 랑제데 승리지 나도와도 마도와 와 우리 다바베 신지 랑제 년바데 승리지 나도와도 마도와 에 게임이 봐라 다다 다바이나 에 다다 다나 안제부 피어 가르 요구리에서 되냐고와 다다 다나 던제부 피어 가르 요구리에서 에 체득이 여러와 체득의 심마비 에 집바타지 세와 매반지도 와 에 제부순지 랑제 비 게셔와 여와 탄지 라도 와 여와 라도 와 이스 피에디 레스 근데 소사 게임이 봐라 이 나야 대바 마냐가 자고래 세 송고래 해서 나와
Yeah. So we should tie our mind to the virtuous objects of observations with the ropes of mindfulness that doesn't forget the objects of abandonment and adoptions at all times throughout our three doors, right? So, and if we do like that, so what kind of benefits, what kinds of result, so what kind of benefits will we receive? The benefits is all fears will cease to exist and all virtues will come into my hand. So all fears in these and future lives will cease to exist. So will cease to exist, and all virtues of the stages of the path of the three types of being will come into my hand. Thus, we should never degenerate the mindfulness with regard to the virtuous objects of observation. So we should never degenerate mindfulness. We should never degenerate mindfulness with respect to virtuous objects of observation. So it means that we should always guard our mind.
다 대화를 피에디 앉아방아서 지시 지고와 피에디 앉아 지시만 또와데 다다 생기 랑치데 그다 저는 탄제다 생기 녀이 소마다 시마티 심보노 생기 지부 따바니 내가 탄지 따반 줄스 생기 지부 또와나 내가 탄지 또와 줄스 어다 디쇼로 그니와 그도 디쇼와
Next outline is extensive explanation. So under this outline is verse number 4 and verse number 5. It says, tigers, lions, elephants, bears, snakes, and all my enemies, the guardians who are hell beings, evil spirits, and likewise cannibals, will all be bound by abiding this mind alone, and will all be subdued by subduing this mind alone.
당어서대 그 시에도 다다제 지시 좋아 당어서대 세야고 소바나 제게 세 기능이 발라 야고이 파바 도바 이 주제들과 세 기능이 발라 야고이 따바이나 아강가서 피어 가려야돼서 그냥 피지기 되고 그래서 내가 지게 아빠다 배워서 내가 지게 다다 생계 왕치 얘들 주 와, 그 메이저 단체다 메이저다 다 메이저 가이나 다 참여와 메이저 단체다 다시마 생체 냐이 소마다 다시 냐지 냐바 신게로와 리마 마치 냐바 시바 시마 칸도마스 냐바 시게로와 시마 칸도마소 이 대나시 다 심보나지 냐바 일단 마이로와 심보나지 냐바야 냐바도 참마다 제노로 냐바도 참마 다랑기 신디 지부 이 게임이 받아 준비 타바이나 다 에로와 지비죠 로와 지비죠 비고네 안 지바데 랑기 신 지부도 준비 타바겠다 야고 타바이나 또 내가 참마 가는 내가 지투고 말해서 내가 지비죠 도 비고네 이 지바데 탄지 타바단다와 이 주제 정리하고 지투고 말해서 그래서 내가 랑기 신 지부도 게임이 받아 야고 준비 타바이나 피어를 단답게 never jingle to some of Kanda, never chimato, Tawa, the Chibashan, yes, skill up, never chimato, Tawa, Chibashan, yes.
So here it talks about those farmers those harmers that can cause those that can cause harm to our body and to our lives, such as tigers, lions, elephants, bears, snakes, and enemies. So my enemies, it could be a human enemies that are human, and it can be non-human beings enemies as well. So and yeah, so whether and also those hell beings and also those evil spirits, those sky goers and those cannibals and those knowledge mantras and so forth, they can cause harm to oneself. So if we guard our mind, if we properly bind our minds alone or bind our minds alone with the ropes of mindfulness, and then as if all these are uh, uh, all these harmers will be as though bound, will be as though bound or subdued.
그런 게 생기고 전바의 시기지 거래. 이제는 주고 또 이나로와 그런 생기고 전바의 시기지 거래. 이제는 옆에 걸 주고 봐. 주마지고 또 이나 다 때라 다 공부시와 다다 불러서 버텨 찬치 도와준다와 도와준다와지 그런 생도는 그거 제거를 해서 다 되고.
If we bind our minds with our mind alone with the ropes of mindfulness, all these harmers are unable to cause any harms to us, and then as though they are all bound, as though all are bound. And then similarly, if we subdue our mind alone, and then all these tigers, snakes, and so forth, and then as if they are all subdued.
다들 저거야 법안에 무슨 말이야. 그래서 그 세를 비미 받아 따져이나 왔다다 생게 저때 네 그래서 또 같아서 왜 내가 유튜브 말에 보고 다들어 그래서 왜 내가 많이 볼까 니네 지네 기부라야 예 그러다 얼마이 다뤄 그래서 생각이 시장에 생기니 받아 따져 이제는 맞이 봤다오니 그래서 그 내가 지금 맞이하다 지금 맞아야 돼 간다 썼다와다 또 와다 집안에 쓴다고 해서 수고로 오늘 생각도 적어요. 냐네 아버 제바이나 다 장주지 세다 정발라서 버서 오늘 냐네 아버지 제바이나 미다 메마이다 신지 지스로 기는 내가 지금 와 지스로 간리지나 내가 지도요 봐
미다 미마인드.
미다 메마이 더 전도 신지 지스로 간리지나 내가 지도요 봐 어디 소자 이거서 신지보데 그나 다 내가 간지 시기냐 지바 가다 아 대화다 그래서 또 와서 지발을 해서 나오는 해서 다 된다
아니 더 봐이나. 더 봐가리래.
또 받은 거 하면 나한테 뭔가 신지보 대화 기니 받다지나 따따다 jutsu 맞이야 그리다 신이나 사티라 따따세와 대가스게 시고 뭔가 신데 아주 신 냐래라 봐 비다고 지어봐지 샹비기 냐래라 야보 지어봐지 이나 신 됐다 봐이나 방외에서 내가 지도야 말해서 이거 말해서 지스로 간이래 봐이나 내가 아주 신비 이발라 이봐 장시 내가 갈래 가보러 보시나 이라 미발 니바 장시 예 지스로 내가 두다 따와서 다음에 내가 지금 마시나 빨리 가보러 와. 맞아, 다 미스기 세기 미발라. 안도 따니 니지는 좀 맞지봐. 니 제만 그 사마가 내가 제만 두바. 그래서 따와라 가면 해서 해야 돼. 장주지 세나 원이 냐네 비다고 여봐지. 장바다 니게는 냐네 야고 원이 여봐이나. 세대 될래. 니바 따봐. 냐네 야고 여봐이나. 미다 부마야 진신 지스로 간리나. 내가 지도고 말이 내가 지고 말해서. 그래도 사마 따봐 지발해 해서. 내가 해야 돼. 내가 저 가도 그 사람 따는 게 세대 개와 관리에 봐서지 저 관리 내가 지금 투나이나서 제대로这个说嘛就把身体给说嘛就要看你有在真正那个也是报道给都逻辑的都是有的对吧龙白技能了你这个被想办法我修工的龙白技能想办法让你要不修养这些有些你想办法我让你要不修养的龙白技能了过了身体刚刚的那把技能过了用完是不是龙白技能了身体说了那把技能就能没有把这的이거 말했어요. 샴바 lumba디노고 이 마이와 기제다 라마치 이시 보다리시 라마치 기체네 lumba디나들이 마이와데 샴바 냐네 하고 싶은 거 왔어. 샴바 쉬지 공부도 왔어. 이게 뭐든 리치 진짜 저는 내가 마이 맞게 야인도 내가 마이 왔어. 이게 니가 이래서
용바지에 대한 심지한 뇌마 튜바 뇌메토바 가이스나야 미지에 내 잡아냐면 야보야베 치
이게 요래서 그래서 로지 요르다듯이 바당 라마스 로지는 요래
So you might wonder, how does one binds one's mind to a virtuous objects of observations, and then one will be free of these tigers, lions, harm, and so forth. So how does it happen? So meaning that if we bind our minds properly with the ropes of mindfulness, and then if we tie our mind properly to bodhicitta, with loving kindness and so forth, if we bind our mind with bodhicitta, loving kindness and so forth, you bind it properly, then one will be how is it, those terrible beings, such as human or such as non-human beings, they will not be able to will not be harm the practitioner. So if one really properly binds one's mind with this bodhicitta, loving kindness, and so forth, then those human beings and non-human beings, even they may be very terrible, horrible, as a terrifying, then they will not be able to cause any harm to the practitioners. So even there was a history that Kadamba the Geshe. So in a country, or in a village, so these villages, all villages are free from harms from sentient beings, from wild animals and so forth. So and then this Geshe knew about it, and then Geshe said that, so why these as the why all villages were free from all harms from animal beings, from wild animals and so forth, is because there was one practitioners who practiced loving kindness well. Because there was one practitioners who practiced loving kindness well. Therefore, not only did these practitioners, loving kindness practitioners, were free from harm, uh, all other villages were free from harm as well. So this happened this happened before. So and Geshe knew about it, and he said it. So next outline is its reason. Next outline is its reason. So its reason means that if we guard our minds properly, then there are such benefits. Right? There will be benefits. Then its reason for those benefits is because then again under this outline there are two subdivisions, and one is because uh, uh, faults are contingent upon one's mind, and the second one is good qualities are contingent upon one's mind. Under this outline, each reason, then there are two subdivisions. One is the first one is faults are contingent upon one's mind, and the second one are qualities are contingent upon one's mind. So under the first subdivision, outline is verse number 6. So the outlines of thoughts are contingent upon one's mind. So verse number 6, it says, the perfect speech itself indicated, thus all fears as well as all boundless suffering originate from the mind.
当然那个龙人哇，可能就是龙不是的，也虽然的看到也把现在了的，人家那个现在了里头都看到现虽然了，如果人生龙是把这些参谋了修的，那龙收的，那上去讲的这个你手上都是空气过了，龙的话是空气过了，当然了，你把的等于就环境上的身体结果的是，当然你把的等于可能就环境上的身体结果的是，你把现在了是的话，你把现在了是，然后你把。让人基本上等于最希望同个身体结果的是，那人生这个东西，这才是的心灵基本，他觉得等于把的那个让个比比，让个身体，让个比比身体的多的是，这让个一般性的这个身体，往这地方上面，这身体情况的是我说，身体情况的也是，他到年巴上的身体情况是他们的嘞，是吧
？So Geshe Rinpoche compose this. Geshe Rinpoche says that under this outline, thoughts are contingent on one's mind, and the speech itself indicated, thus all fears as well as all boundless sufferings originate from the mind, with this quote and unquote. So it's scriptural citations. So it means whatever fears and sufferings that happens to oneself. So all these are created by one's mind. So because of this reason, then all fears in these lives and in future lives, and boundless sufferings in these and future lives are created. All these fears and boundless sufferings arise from one's negative mind. So all fears and boundless suffering in these and future lives, all these arise from one's negative mind, the mind that engage in negativities.
他对龙呢，说讲我是他对嘛，我不讲过了吧？他龙搞的是龙工作证很多的，所以我是吧？那这个工作证很多，龙在龙嘛空气过吧？那就证很多的。他讲呢，生意往是进了，但生堂节的话，全堂节往的就送我是，我人家有的生意上班也是，是吧？
龙的当中开始送的，
那龙的送的，当个工作证龙的，就全堂节呢，是吧？生意往的就全堂节往的这个也是，是的话，那龙国当然多，就那给我给一来的不生意少的是，给一来肯定就把那个生了，生意少的是，生意少的是。那生意全堂节就那多的是吧？人都让下的是，生意是协会的全堂节是协会的也是，他的工作证多了就送了，不是工作证多了送。那对嘛在缺氧的话，你们多来讲是吧？农历长子对吧？上进多年是吧？全堂节生了哪里把就是，缺氧的话，你们多来送了，都工作证多来送了都是，那农个空气也对的话，但是农个的关键了嘛，农空气也有啊，不对的。那全堂节。你把很多的生了哪里？应该生的话，实际空的话。
So in relation to this verse, so where does this recitation comes from? It comes from the clouds of Dual Sutra. It comes from clouds of Dual Sutras. Citing clouds of Dual Sutras, it says, if one's mind is if one's mind is controlled, all phenomena will be under control. And virtuous actions, so virtuous actions are accumulated by the mind. And this mind precedes all phenomena, because if one fully understands one's mind, one will fully understand all phenomena. This is from the Clouds of Jewel Sutra, and not only the citation comes from Clouds of Jewel Sutras, it also comes from Compendium of Doctrine Sutra, and it says all phenomena are contingent on one's mind. All phenomena are contingent upon one's mind. So these sutras are quoted support at this point. So this is under the outlines of faults are contingent upon one's mind. So these are the scriptural citations for it. So just now was the scriptural citations to support the outline. Faults are contingent upon one's mind. And then the next outline is reasoning. So the reasoning is in relation to the outline, faults are contingent upon one's mind. And under this outline reasoning is verse number 7 and also first two lines of verse number 8. It says, who intentionally created the weapons of our beings? Who created the burning iron ground? From what did all those hosts of women ensue? The Muni thought that all such things are the negative mind. So the sufferings of hell and so forth sufferings of hell and so forth arise from the past negative mind of the experiences. So sufferings of hell and so forth arise from past negative mind, from one's past negative mind. So sufferings of hell and so forth arise from the experiences past negative mind. So if these sufferings of hell and so forth did not arise from experiences past negative actions, then who would intentionally create those weapons in hell, such as swords, spears, and the tridents, and so forth? So who would intentionally created those weapons in hell? So, and we as a Buddhist, then we do not accept a world creator, right? So then now we are reasoning with ourselves. So who would intentionally create those weapons such as sword and so forth? So what creator? So who would, or what creator would intentionally create those negative actions? Created those weapons? And how does these weapons appears or come in? How does these weapons? So what creators would intentionally create those weapons? So they are not created by any creators, and they are established by one's negative actions. So all these weapons, just sword, are established by the power of one's negative actions.
rangi pe dungi nongchi ya tso da kanda jume le chungwa ma res jume ba le chungwa ma res rwa jume le chungwa ma tes de tenda tangche rangi dipi che ba res rangi dipi che de sene res de sene chungwa da de to ba sanji chone de pe chungwa ne ya do le sung bu sa sanji chone de che chungwa ne ya do le sung bu se da de ma da de ni shi.
So for those who accept world creators, then they will say that this experience of sufferings in hell, such as being cut by sword and so forth, are created by the world creators, right? So for us as a Buddhist and who do not accept world creators, then we say that there is no creator. So there is no creators of these weapons in hell and so forth. So it's not created by Ishvara and so forth. So, and does this experience arise arise without cause? Does this experience of suffering in hell and so forth arise without cause? So it is incorrect to say that this experience of suffering and so forth arise without a cause. So all these sufferings and so forth arise arise from one's negative mind. So all these sufferings of hell and so forth arise due to arise from one's negative mind, the mind that engaged in negativities.
Quando tempo mi ya la kanda sin la dana de praxis de dile de dana ne do se do tempo ni go le de so do ye so ye do so o ka kanda
Sim ni da.
o sa na do sin la dana de praxis mo de wa sin la dana de chi shi de dile de dana ne sta ma do singi ni ba chi chu na sin chu ni de chu na sin chu ma se wa dile se go ra ta sin la ra le de se da de wa sin la ra le sin de ya ji chi tong ba na 타도 그 산지 공간도리야. 야고 마지막이나 아메기 냐와라마 까바맘벌마 등에 등이 뭐지 코리스 좋아. 우리 이제 스타트
Just at this same set there.
다 담아 세들와. 그때도 대만이야 또 순간이 저거라.
So it's incorrect to say that all these experience of suffering arise without cause. So, and this is mentioned in the sutra called close placements of mindfulness. And also in this sutra, close placement of mindfulness, it also says this mind is the inner enemy, is the great enemy, and there is no enemy other than this. So it means that this mind, if we do not properly guard our mind, then this mind is the enemy, the great enemy, and then it can send us to lower realms such as hell. And if we guard this mind properly, and if we improve this mind, cause this mind to improve further, then it can also lead us to the state of enlightenment.
그게 얼마다야? 그것도 리피니나 시다 마장 기기. 내가 고아를 지지 보러 내가 고아를 가지고 간다만 이제 비치고라. 근데 저기 뭐라 가서 주는 그만을 만나 이거들라. 이다가 내가 나사 나 보러. 이다가 나서 나오는데 이제 남지 나와 있지. 이다가로 이다나지 롱지 나타 줘주세요. 요 말을 잡고 내가 쉬어와. 요 말이 매비 진짜까지는 요는 뭐라 나오고 발에 뭐라 나오고 와서 예 저거 이제 지금 말했어. 내가 이제 지금 무엇을 बता봐. 와. 너는 지금 말했어. 그다음 뭐지?
So another reasoning is, so he says, if those who do not study the topics of reasoning well or in detail, and those who do not study the topics of reasoning well, and those who whose assertions denigrates karmic cause and effect, then they will say that to those who propound those proponents of those who whose assertions are those assertions, those who whose assertion, those whose assertions denigrate karmic cause and effect, and who do not study the topics of reasoning in detail, and then they will say that river water. So the stainless river water that appears to human appears as pus and blood to the hungry ghost, and this appearance are due to the fruitions of past negative karma. And however, there is not the slightest pus and blood to be experienced by the hungry ghost, because if it were exist, if it were to exist, then it would appear to human as well, and therefore therefore, because this is their assertion. So if we were to exist, then it would have to appear to human beings as well. So I repeat their assertion. So the opponent's assertions is the stainless river water that appeared to human beings appears as pus and blood to hungry ghosts, and this appearance are due to the fruitions of past negative actions. However, there is not the slightest pus and blood to be experienced by those hungry ghosts, because if it were to exist, then it would also have to exist. It would have to exist to human beings as well, or appears to human beings as well. So then we say that these assertions is inappropriate or illogical. Saying so is illogical.
그때 가서 그 저바들 발레지 저런 리뷰들을 보라다 그런 거 시오디 왜 이다다 배 근데 농주에 나타도 무스요 너나 내가 나고레스 내가 나무 좋아서 그러와 그러와 내가 어디 레왕이 나고 칠칠칠만 나타 나고 그러와 나타나 나고 이제 들리니 나고 들 농주에 봐도 무스 거를 보라 저바서 농주에 내가 막 가슴에 또 연은 몰라 나고레 밀어 나무 좋아서 그거 되게 저 된다 지금 무슨 거 밀어 매번 나와 시크릿 이나 밀어 만나 와서지 매번 킬려 봐
렌데 매번 나와야
밀어 대 매번 나와야 시 나타서 나와서 시지 이나 대 만나 와가지 내가 말해스 와 내가 말해 이리 매고나 야이 야이 매다 이 레비 남이 나와서 매비 저기는 나이 매야 내년 비기 남이 좀 나와자지 당기 때네 매도 시키네 버렸어 매로 그래 나이 와 나이 동안 좀 매로 버렸어 와 매로 그래 니기 키네 그봐 까비 봐도 손으로 버렸어 와
까비 봐도 충분해서 나
줄을 몰라 저 오이나 또 많은 원사 시키 매로 그러나 때냐 와다 나이 매다 지나다 거의 그것도 이런 거 매로구나 내려라 꼬아 카 나와는 매로게 좋겠어 매로스나 때려라 꼬아 되고 그래서 매로그레스 그러나 많은 어디 매로 두고 말해 마토한테 매로 두고 말해 너도 좋아 그 많은 매로 두고 말해 많은 어디 요 말해서 두고 말해 이 로스나 딱 와서 레진 제브스와다 와서 통들야 나트야게 요 말와 레진 제브스와다 와 어쨌든 레진 제브 메서 너왜 네가 이거스 타만냐와 매로고 그래서 좋아 냐와 매로고 잡으레스 이 로스나 레데라 꼬아게 바차는 거리 했어
Other opponents, their assertions is the stainless river water that appears as human, that appeared to human, appears as pus and blood to hungry ghosts, and this appearance is due to the fruitions of past negative actions. And however, there is not the slightest pus and blood to be experienced by hungry ghosts, because then they give the reason. So because if it were to exist, then it would also have to exist to appear to human beings as well. However, it doesn't appear to human beings. So then this is their assertions. Then to answer their assertions, then we say that then he says that it is inappropriate. Saying this saying is inappropriate because So to counteract their assertions, to counter their assertions, then first, if it mere non-appearance. So the mere non-appearance, meaning that merely not appearing to human beings. In other words, merely not seen by human beings does not necessarily make it non-existence. So because their reasoning is, if it were to exist, so if the pulse and blood experienced by hungry ghosts were to exist, then it will appear to human beings. However, it does not appear to human beings, right? So this is their reasoning. So to counter their assertions, then we replied, so merely not seen by human beings or merely not appearing to human beings, doesn't make it non-existence. In other words, it does not necessarily make it a non-existence. So if this were the case, if this were the case, or if these assertions maybe if you were to accept these perceptions, pervations, or if you were to accept these pervations, if you were to accept these pervations, then you would also have to accept that hellfire doesn't exist. The heat torment experienced by hell beings doesn't exist. And eventually, then you will also have to accept that hell doesn't exist. And through accepting in this way, then you denigrate a karmic cause and effect. So eventually, if you say that, oh, there's no hell at all, because if you accept this pervasion that it doesn't appear, therefore it doesn't exist. So, or if it doesn't is not seen by others, therefore it doesn't exist. If you were to accept such pervasion, then you also have to accept that hellfire doesn't exist, the heat torment, the cold torment in hell doesn't exist, the cold suffering and the heat suffering, and also eventually you also have to accept that hell doesn't exist as well. And due to this, then you denigrate, or through these, then you denigrate the cause and effect.
근데 간다 그 밀어 만나와 때문에 로그나 장패의 청안이 내가 나시 냐와나
장패
근데 저봐 저게
장패
받은 거 근데 지금 나와 사실 멜로 구여나 밀어 나와 사실 멜로 구여나 그 장패의 청안 내가 나시 내가 따와이나 냐와나 동아 집이 차례를 벌써 이러고 무슨 내가 이러고 좀 나와 사실
So if it doesn't appear to others, then therefore is a non-existence. Then if you accept these pervasions, then a hellfire, cold suffering, heat suffering, and so forth in hell, then wouldn't exist as well. And eventually, then you also have to accept that hell doesn't exist as well, will not exist as well. So, and this will become a denigration to karmic cause and effect. And so your assertions of saying opponent's assertions, so your assertions is the same, similar to, is the same as the Charvakas school, is same as the assertions of Charvakas schools that there is no heat and cold sensation. There is no heat and cold sensation that generates sufferings in hell. We conclude, we stop here. We conclude with dedication. We dedicate these fruits of virtue to the flourishing of Buddha Dharma and to the excellent happiness of all sentient beings. We also dedicate these fruits of virtue to all upholders of Buddha's teaching, mainly His Holiness the Dalai Lama, to live long to have excellent health, and may all their enlightened activities and holy wishes spread in all directions. We also dedicate these fruits of virtue to our beloved teacher, Kyoshe Lama Sopa Rinpoche. May Rinpoche's holy wishes and enlightened activities spread in all directions and accomplished instantaneously without any hindrance. And we also dedicate these fruits of virtue for world peace, and may excellent happiness prevail in the world. May wars, conflicts, disaster, natural disaster be pacified immediately. We also dedicate these fruits of virtue, especially to those sentient beings who were killed in India. So many people pass away. We also dedicate these fruits of virtue to them.
Sabe ge wa di ten dang zhuo wa kun la kan ben dang xie ba ji zhi lo san ga ba yi ten mian ni bo ri do se ji shu xin zhou ren bo jie ma jie fa nang di ju ji jie ba yang ma me ma yang gong ne gong du pen ma shu wan zhan bei ba yan ji da ken ba dang san bo de yang de xue de da kun ge jie su da lo jie ge wa de da dang jie ra fu mo ku tu nie da wa ren bo jie ma jie fa nang ji ju ji jie ba yang ma me ma yang gong ne gong du pen ma shu da wa ren bo jie ma jie fa nang ji ju ji jie ba yang ma me ma yang gong ne gong du pen ma shu in jie sun du ju be la chi jie se se ka jie de de cha na pe mo de de ya zo la so wa de so yin de de du shu ne pe de ma de wa ka ne jun ne sa pe ni ka de so me de jie jiao zo la so wa de so tu jie de du shu de ma jie se jie ran zo lo sa mi ma ye se ju ba jie ran jia xi ge jia yo ma de 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 me ba zhu be ge de zhen yong su zo ge tu dian de bo de shi ran tu be zhen jie be wa la zhen ge zhen tu ge zhen su me jie zhen la ma su wa de pe de ma li yong wei gui ji bu de ye de la ma yue duo wa ye chen lao chi duo chen ba zhe be ma chuan xi de yi re ba hai ban zhen zhen ge zhen ji na dang ji se dang ji tu de la bo jie lu me de be yang zhe sa be zhe ge sa de jie fe lo jue xie shu 公园是哪里被打的？我马上中午前，今天是我第几条作业，小队时间把图的。